So let's see. Are we on?
We're live.
Hello, Gun Nation. Yep.
What's up, everybody?
What's going on?
Are we on?
We're live.
Yeah, whoever's computer's still running, you got to just mute it so we don't get the feedback.
Hello, everyone.
All right.
Got a pretty good group on here, 15.
So we usually start off a little quiet only because we want other people to hop in and get as maximum views as we can. So we usually stop worrying about after 7.
Yeah, right, we're there.
All right, so we're going to get started. So tonight it's another great chat with 3 Guys Guns. And tonight we have a special guest. We have Mark from Fit and Fire. And he's going to join us tonight. He's kind of like the new white bread of YouTube, like super popular. Everybody loves him. So we decided to invite him on, and he's our wonder bread for tonight. But we've got an Army veteran. We've got a physical fitness nut, which I appreciate. You know, a father, husband, just an all-around great guy. Looks a little bit like Captain America. Which is kind of interesting. But we're glad he's here tonight. He's going to have some insight for all of us to share. And, you know, we'll start off with him and see what he's got to say. So, Mark, welcome.
Well, thanks. You got me blushing already. So you're the second person now to say that I've got the Captain America look. So I appreciate that. So as he's pretty much already said, I'm Mark with Fit and Fire. I am born and raised Kansan. Spent a lot of my time in the military at Fort Riley in Kansas. So that's always been kind of a second home for me as well. Born and raised in Wichita. Like I said, spent a lot of time at Fort Riley. And also with Fort Campbell at the 101st. I spent about just over 4 years there. I was able to do some airborne stuff with them and also get air assault qualified. So I've got a special place, special little spot in my heart for the airborne peeps. So my channel, as he's already mentioned, it's Fit and Fire. It's guns and gear and fitness to do both. So big upswing in focus on my health and trying to get back to my fighting weight, as a lot of people would say, and also get into you know, kind of promoting the idea that we can be very interested in defending ourselves, supporting the Second Amendment, be, you know, lovers of firearms and the firearm industry, but also be healthy about it as well. You know, basically the idea of being able to stay fit to survive any encounter should we ever get into a defensive type of situation, heaven forbid. So that's kind of my take on it and what I'd like to promote, what I like to do, and just kind of go from there. So.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, you know, you brought up an interesting point about the whole idea of physical fitness and, you know, firearms and everything. And I don't, you know, honestly, I don't think we spend a lot of time even really talking about that stuff. You know, I know Big Johnson is on his way to, you know, shedding some pounds there. And he's been moderately successful so far, which is great, you know. And I think a lot of us with the new year, especially, we are trying to all recapture something, at least in the month of January. But I know when I went into the gym the day after New Year's, the place was jam-packed. 2.5 weeks later, it's empty again. So it's kind of interesting to see how those, you know, those ebb and flows of physical fitness come and go with everybody. But I think it's a great point. I think, you know, you have, you know, people out there who should be physically fit, especially when, you know, running a circuit or shooting or whatever it is, because they do kind of work hand in hand. But, you know, it's not for everybody. But I think it is a valid point, and I think it's a valid part of gun ownership. So I think that's great. So the other thing is tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about SHOT Show, and we do want to answer as many questions as we can from the people who are watching. You know, we do want to focus a little bit more on that than we have in the past, or a couple of chats. But I know SHOT Show's coming out. I know that there are some people out there who are excited. There's some, you know, interesting things that are coming out that I think are going to be new, especially in the rifle realm. You know, there of course are going to be some pistols that are out there. But you know, I know, Mark, that you're going to be going to SHOT Show. So what are some of the things that you're going to be looking for when you get there? So
the biggest thing that I want to do is get there and really beat feet to the companies that I've already worked with. Some of the smaller companies, such as like VanQuest. I've done a couple of videos on some of their equipment. Elite Survival Systems. I've done one video, and I'm testing some stuff as well for them. Obviously, Rock River Arms. I've done a video on their 1911 TAC-2 and 9mm, and then Taylor's and Company. I've done a 1911 video for them. So those companies that have really reached out to me and has supported my channel, I want to make sure that I hit them first. But there's also a number of companies out there right now that have some brand new stuff. So SIG has their 365 that just came out, their P365, which is going to be something very, very interesting. Is a high capacity, you know, micro compact pistol that is going to rival the Glock 26, the Glock 34 or 43 rather, and then also like the Smith & Wesson Shield, and then kind of something that's been on a lot of people's radar is the Franklin Armory. What they're calling it right now, whatever their new AR platform that's coming out.
Firearm.
Yeah. So that's one that it's really capped a lot of people's interest, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to keep my elbows up when I'm driving the lane here to get in there and get some shots on it, and just really understand what in the world are they doing. So those are kind of my wish list items of what I want to do, areas I want to hit. But you know, I want to put it out to everybody that's watching. If you were at SHOT Show, what would be the first booth that you guys would go to? I'd really be interested in seeing what they have to say.
Well,
where would you go, Big J?
I definitely want to know about the Franklin. You know, I'm very interested in that too. I think that's, you know, if we can just get rid of this SBR crap, period. I mean, I think that's, you know, I understand, well, and I really don't. I don't understand about suppressors either. But, you know, if we can get rid of this whole SBR crap, you know, I'd definitely be happy about that. And if they found a way to do it and they're going to be successful, I think other companies are probably going to jump on that and either follow that lead, or maybe that SBR thing will become weaker. But, you know, that's what I'm hoping for. But, you know, and I'm interested in the SIG, you know, 365. You know, I want to go by this. I want you to go by the CZ booth too, you know, for myself, and I'm sure the other guys might want to. But, you know, from what I've seen, I mean, I know they've got the bull shadow and stuff like that. And of course they got the new POs, or the newer color PO7 in the green, but,
right,
you know, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of offerings there, and they've got the new Scorpion, but it really doesn't look that much different, you know, from the pictures anyway. But I'd love to find out some information about the CZ booth, see if anything's going on there.
What about you, KS?
6 Hour would be a big one for me. I mean, they have such a wealth of products, and of course we've been talking about for the past week or a little bit longer the 365, which I'm very interested in. I think that's going to be pretty cool. Pistol Pete was talking about that a little bit earlier, and in the round count, that 10+1 or 12+1 with the extension on it. So that looks pretty cool. But beyond that, I mean, you know, Walther, it'd be interesting to see if they've got their new subcompact at the booth. I'd be interested in that. And then after that, I don't know. If I was there, I'd just be kind of walking around. I mean, I understand it's pretty surreal, especially the first time you're there, because there's so much going on, and it's kind of sensory overload a little bit, and trying to figure out where you want to go, what you want to do. And also, and Mark, I don't know if you're going to be doing this or not, but like videoing or recording or anything like that. I mean, all of that plays into what you can or can't do, I guess, at SHOT Show, or at least from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed. I don't want to come off as if I got a chip on my shoulder, but I kind of, in my head, I'm likening it to the Tulsa Gun Show. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Tulsa Gun Show, but that gun show is ridiculous. I just this last fall ran into Hickok 45 there, and was able to, geek out and get a picture with them, which was really cool. But the gun show itself is at least a football field wide, and then it's got to be, I would say 3 or 4 football fields long, and it is jam packed with tables. If they could shoehorn 15 more tables, they would, but it's ridiculous. So that's kind of what I've got in my head. Everybody's been saying, make sure you have good walking shoes and make sure you've got plenty of business cards. You're going to go through them all. So that's kind of where I'm.
Make sure you bring water and something to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll definitely be busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as, I'm sorry, go ahead, KS.
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
As far as the big gun shows, we have a big one in Dallas at Market Hall, and it's a mammoth. And then I've been to the one in Tulsa, Oklahoma, too, and it's a monster. But I've never been to the Kansas one. I'm sure it's a beast too. But yeah, I mean, SHOT Show, I can imagine, how big it is, because if SEMA, and I know that SHOT Show is not as big as SEMA, but SEMA is a mega. It's crazy. Way too much to see in a day or two.
Yeah. I think if I was going to go there, I'd absolutely hit up the Walther booth, because I do want to see that subcompact and see what it actually feels like, because, I posted an image on it, and the more I look at it, man, I swear, I wonder if it's Photoshop, because the thing looks too small to even be real. I mean, the grip, there's almost no grip.
Yeah.
It looks like you could fit maybe a finger and a half on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's real, maybe it's not. I don't know. But I'm going to be interested to see what it looks like. I wish, if I could have one wish with Walther, I'd tell him to take the CCP and just make that the mini PPQ, because ergonomically it's basically the same. It's just smaller and slimmer, and it's a nice gun. But there's been a lot of manufacturing problems with that gun. Although some people say it's great, I just I haven't been able to put myself out there to say, all right, I'm going to spend the money on it, because it's been plagued with problems for a while. So if they would just get rid of that gas blowback, get it out of the Umarex factory and put it in Ulm where it belongs, then I'd say I'd buy it. But right now they just won't get my money for that one. So I don't know. We'll see.
When you put that picture, or you sent us that picture, I was like, man, I don't even think I could get like a finger, like you just said, a finger and a half on it. I was like, this can't be real. I mean, I don't see how people are going to hold on to the damn thing.
Yep. Yep. It's just so small.
The slide looks normal, but the grip looks like it's this big.
Right. And I mean, the P99, they have a subcompact in that, and it looks similar to it, but it even looks smaller than that. And if you've ever handled a P99 compact, that's even very small. I would say it's, it's the Glock 26-ish, which, isn't the most comfortable thing to shoot with, unless you put an extended mag and all that other stuff in there. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what it looks like. They don't have my money yet on it, but that would be one gun that I definitely would be looking at.
Yeah. I think it's, I don't know. It doesn't pique my interest, because it's just too small in the grip. And even if I saw it, I don't think that would be something I would go for. But then again, the 365, like we talked about before, I would never consider pre-ordering it until I put my hands on it, because with that left thumb down the slide, I mean, it could literally blow my thumb off. I mean,
and that's kind of interesting too, because last week I got a lot of crap because I supposedly didn't like the P365, and I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm saying, to me, it doesn't make me say gotta buy it. I understand it's a very tiny gun and it's 10+1, and that's great. But I just don't understand, like, what's so bad about the Shield? What's so bad about the PPS M2 or Glock 43? Those are great guns, and I think for the price, comparatively speaking, from the P365 to, like, let's say a Shield. I mean, you can buy a Shield with a laser on it and all this other crap for under $400. So, I mean, I don't know, I know there's going to be a lot of hype on it, and I'd love to see what they look like. And like you, I want to put my hands on it before I'd ever consider pre-ordering something like that, because, that's got to be an interesting gun. At least I think so.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things that I saw on TGC is that SIG actually took took some advice from their consumer base on what we should expect from SIG moving forward, and they drop tested it in 27 different angles.
Yeah. Yep.
So I was glad to see that they put it through its paces. But I'm definitely interested to see what SIG has to offer with that again, and I totally agree that I'm not the pre-order type of guy. I want to make sure that they really get it broke in. They get a number of people running 500, 1,000, 2,000 rounds through it to see what it's going to look like, and then I start looking at purchasing it. My first Glock was a Glock Gen 4. It was a Glock 19 Gen 4, and man, I'm really kicking myself in the butt because I should have just waited and found a good Gen 3 at a decent price, because you can send it in and have it fixed, but about once every 20 to 40 rounds, I'll get a shell casing right in the forehead. And that's just one of the inherent problems with the Gen 4s that supposedly are supposed to have been fixed. But that's why
that's just Glock perfection.
So,
yeah.
Yes, what do you think about that? Because you're like the Glock guy, So what are your thoughts about that?
So the Glock ejection is not quite as vigilant as some guns out there, for sure. And I know in watching some of the footage, at least that I put on the channel over the last year, I've definitely had some rounds hit kind of in the shoulder or the arm, that sort of thing. I've never been hit in the face. In fact, I've never been hit in the face with brass, I think, on any gun I've ever shot. So I've been lucky there. But it is a little bit inconsistent as compared to other guns. But my thing is, as long as it doesn't get stuck in the gun and doesn't hit me in the face, I can care less, because as long as the gun's working and I'm doing my part, it doesn't bother me a bit. And perhaps that's a lazy attitude towards it. I think some people are far more adamant about that. I get some commenters that really diagnose every single little thing, and I appreciate that. But for me, as long as the gun works and I don't get faced with anything, I don't care. Doesn't bother me a bit.
Yeah, I've had several Gen 4s and I've never had any issues with anything on them. I mean, they function flawlessly. But it's interesting too, because even on the Steyrs, because I'm a huge Steyr fan, I've had some, I don't say a lot, but some people who have emailed me or commented saying it's like the greatest gun ever. And then I've had other people who say it's like the worst gun ever, because they're getting failures, they're getting, casings to their face, and I still I can't tell you why that is. The only thing I can think of is depending on production date, when it was actually, produced. And it might be a Gen 4 Steyr, but it could also be production year, so if it's like a 2012, even though it's considered Gen 4 at that point, or 13, you might want to get something, or try to get your hands on something a little bit more recent, maybe a 2016 model or something more recent, because they've run everything out of those guns and I've had no issues with them. So I really can't explain why that is.
Yeah.
But you can always get a Canic.
Yeah. So, Mark, are you a concealed carrier yourself?
Absolutely. Yep. I carry a Glock 26. I would say probably 90% of the time with, I'm running, let's see, I always get this wrong. So if I get it wrong, I hope they'll forgive me, but it should be, if I remember correctly, Wolf Hollow Tactical appendix holster with sidecar. So it's a Glock 26 with a Glock 19 spare mag. And that's one of the reasons why I love Glock so much, is that interchangeability between the 17, 19, and 26 Glocks. I can change whatever mag I need. And then usually in the winter, I am carrying my Glock 19 on outside the waistband holster. And that I'm currently waiting on a new holster from a new manufacturer that I came across, because they are like the first Google, if you Google search, Glock Glock 19 holster for Olight. This is the first search result you'll come up with. I think it's MIE Productions. So I should have 2 holsters coming from them. I'm waiting on. So
now let me ask you something. Since you mentioned that the outside the waistband, sorry, 17. You and I are both fellow Kansans, and Kansas has some pretty lenient laws in terms of carry, and open carry is certainly allowed here. Do you see that very often in your area of Kansas?
Surprisingly, I see it more often than I would like. Not that I'm opposed to open carry. I think it's fine. If you want to open carry, by all means, you have that right here, especially in the state of Kansas. By all means, do so. I'm not that type of person because I don't want people to know that I am carrying. Right. I want to be that forgettable person, because should I ever get into a situation, that is going to give me that ambush ability to, be able to defend myself if something pops up, But if someone wants to open carry, by all means do that. The problem that I see is I'm very, very close to a military installation. And with that being said, I am very, very close to some I don't want to say immature people, but some unexperienced individuals who feel that they can walk around with a Uncle Bob's holster, a Glock 19 and a soft shell holster, just walking around with it flapping around and everything. That troubles me. And yeah, so sometimes I feel like I want to walk up and just kind of pull them aside and say, hey, brother, really love seeing you out there supporting Second Amendment and everything, but we need to have a talk on your your choices here. And here's some of the reasons why. Just kind of start up a conversation. But I've been told that I come off kind of brash.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, I've wondered that since they changed the laws in Kansas, and a lot of people were talking first that everyone all of a sudden was going to be slinging a gun on their hip, and everyone was going to be walking around. It was going to be shoot out at the OK Corral and all that kind of stuff. And here in Kansas City, no one open carries. I mean, I've seen exactly 2 people open carry since the law changed, and both of those were at Cabela's. And I imagine they were probably not Kansas Cityans. They were probably from, somewhere out west, wherever that may be, because it's just not done here. It just really is not. So, I mean, I'll occasionally see somebody with a gun on their hip at the range, but that's perfectly acceptable. It's not a big deal. But around here, people keep it pretty concealed, which I think is the smart way to go.
Yeah. And I live in Texas, and we're open carry. And, I see people open carry every once in a while. What's really funny, and I've talked about this before, is, I'll see open carriers, and then I'll see wannabe open carriers, and they've got the leg rig and the Uncle Mike's and all the crazy stuff where I could just walk up and grab it from them. It's just hanging there. But I personally prefer to be the gray man. I conceal carry, and I'll open carry if I put a code or something over it where no one's going to know what it is. But that's my preference too. So.
Well, we don't have a choice up here anyway. We can only do concealed, which I'm fine with that as long as I can carry something. But even if we had the option of open carry, I probably wouldn't do it. Honest Outlaw, he actually just he made the comment of the person who opens carry is usually what do you say? Something like he's
first person shot.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because you don't have to announce you have a gun with you. I think just from the perspective of knowing you have it, knowing you can use it, I think that's all you really need to do. But again, that's, you want to open carry, have at it if that's your choice. Yeah. And if you have the right to do it, so be it. Just do it responsibly.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't bother me to see people carrying, but, to each their own.
Man, I got it. This guy, I just thought of this guy. I was in the gun shop one day, and this old guy, he must have been as old as dirt, this man. So he comes in with this revolver. And, he's trying to talk and he's talking to the owner of the gun shop, and he's completely disheveled. I mean, the guy could barely stand, whatever. The gun he actually had in his lower back, right? and he didn't even have a holster. He just put it in his pants, and the damn gun fell on the floor right in the middle of this gun shop. And he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it, fellas. It's not loaded anyway." So needless to say,
it's a paperweight.
The shop owner said, "Listen, man, thanks for coming in. There's the door. See you later." But that happens. I mean, it's just it's hard to explain. I guess we get on each other's nerves so much in the gun community because we can't seem to really ever rally around one common thing without someone complaining about one particular item of that thing. And then you have the guys out there who are just doing the dumbest stuff, who are a part of the community, unfortunately, because it's like any other community. You're going to have your smart people, and then the one that, honestly, Darwin's theory should have taken care of a long time ago, but hasn't. So, I mean, it's very interesting to see sometimes, where you get the experts and then the people who probably shouldn't even be near a gun. It's just very interesting sometimes.
Hey, we've got he's asked us a few times and he's needing help, please. It's from Felipe Ramirez. If you could only have one, this is for the whole panel, PPQ, P10C, 2.0, or the G19.
Steyr L9.
No, come on.
Why not give the Steyr some love, man? I mean, this gun is awesome, damn it.
This is his question. PPQ, P10C, 2.0, or G19?
Boy. Man.
Is that all stock?
Yeah, all stock? That's a good question. I'm assuming yes.
I would say all stock off the bat, but, you can change any of those. So
I'm going to say right now as it stands, stock, no modifications at all, the CZ-P10.
Okay. What about you, Mark? And I know what you're going to say.
Well, I unfortunately have to go with the Glock 19. The reason why I go with that is because out of those four, I've only shot two, and that's the well, technically I've only shot one, and that's the G19. I have a 2.0 in a box just about 5 feet away from me that I'm going to review, but I did shoot the M&P 9, the 1.0, if you want to call it, and the 2.0's trigger, both of them, they have the same trigger. I'm just not really a fan of that big C trigger that the Smith & Wessons. They're both fine. That is the one thing that gets me. And as far as stock goes, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'd rather go with the Glock trigger than the Smith & Wesson, even though I've changed my.
You can change any of them once you get it. But okay, what about you, KS?
So I guess I dare to be slightly different. Now, I'm not as big of a fan of the PPQ. It's an okay gun, but it does not light my fire in any stretch of the imagination whatsoever. So that to me is thrown out of the mix completely. I actually would have thrown in the P320. I think those four are a little bit more comparable, at least in my mind. But given the P10, the G19, and the 2.0C, I'd go with the G19, and that's largely based on availability of everything. I mean, aftermarket parts, OEM parts, magazines, you name it. I mean, the parts are just out there. It's plentiful. There are a lot of things going for the gun, even though it's kind of boring and it's outdated. All the things we've talked about many, many, many times, and I firmly believe those things too. But the G19. The only thing that would come close to that would be the P10. And out of the box, not having the experience with any Glocks prior to, I would pick the P10 without question. I think that's an incredible gun.
Yeah. If I had to pick one of those, I don't, and there's nothing against Glock. I just personally do not like the angle. That's the thing that gets me. Even though the Steyr has even more of an aggressive angle, it's just different. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to explain it. Can I shoot a Glock? Yes. I would pick, I've shot the 2.0, the compact. I haven't shot the P10, but I really like the feeling of it, and I think it would be a great gun. So out of those, I would probably pick the P10 or the 2.0 if I had to. And I own the PPQ. It's not a bad gun at all.
Now, I got a question for you that's just weird. All right, so do you think it matters in a zombie apocalypse If
Okay, it's weird.
do you think it matters in a zombie apocalypse what gun you actually have?
Hell yeah.
Why?
I want a shotgun, damn it. Give me a shotgun and a
Well, the
whole
reason why I'm asking is everybody's always like, you know, the Glock 19, because in case SHTF, you know, there's Glocks out there that you can, you know, use parts on. My thinking is, all right, if my Glock breaks and there's one sitting right there, I'm just going to take the one that works. You know, wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So we'll see. No zombie
Yeah.
apocalypse anytime soon anyway. So
If we're talking pure zombie apocalypse, I'm going with a Ruger 1022. I'll carry that because ammunition is plentiful, it's easy to carry, and it's quiet, you know, in comparison to everything. So yeah.
it's a good point. And you can hit deer and kill it with it too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, let's see. We have any questions out there right now, or nah?
We have had a couple of questions, and one Dave posted quite some time ago. And I think he's asked me this a couple of times, so I've got to answer him. Hopefully, Dave is still in the chat. He asks what distance I shoot at in my videos, and Dave, that really depends. It's anywhere from 7 to 10 yards. It depends on a couple of things: the gun and my mood. And my mood depends on how well I'm shooting, especially when I'm warming up. But it depends on the gun. I mean, if I'm shooting something like the X5 or the Shadow or something, I'm going to stretch it out and have a little bit of fun because the confidence level is a little bit higher, and those guns are really designed to do that and do it well. But something like maybe a Shield or maybe this P365, I'm making some assumptions here, but those are more up close and personal guns, and I prefer to set up the situation as such. So hopefully that answers that question.
So we did have a question from, and I think I just lost it. Great, go figure. Somebody asked for a carry check. What are we all carrying today? So who would like to go first? What are you guys carrying?
P07.
Mark, what are you carrying?
+2.
Let me guess. Glock 26.
Glock
Glock 19.
Well, actually, is this one right here? Does this count?
Nice.
You got that in your food.
I don't have my carry gun on me. It would be a Glock 26. I remove that as soon as I come into the house because I have a little one running around. She has been completely trained. She has the 4 golden rules of firearm safety in her room. But as an added precaution, I always take it off and put it in my special place. So
gotcha. Copy that. KS, what are you carrying? Laptop?
No, not a laptop. But actually, and Honest Outlaw will appreciate this. We tend to have a little bit of banter and joke each other about this. But I ankle carried the X5 today at work, and that actually worked really well. I had a little bit of a limp all day, and I'm kind of sore, but it worked really well. I like that quite a bit.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah. So because we got so much snow, I was outside shoveling half the damn day. So I figured, let me just carry something even bigger than the damn shovel that I was holding. So I put this in the hidden hybrid holster they just sent to me because I wanted to obviously break it in a little bit. So I've been carrying the Phantom with me all day. You know, again, this is a great gun, guys. If you're still not convinced on the Phantom because everybody likes the Shadow, my advice would be to check out the Phantom because it's a very lightweight gun, very ergonomic, and it's absolutely fun to shoot because it's got very little recoil. But yeah, I was carrying that today. Really, really nice. No issues.
Nice.
So that brings up a good question that I've got because I'm not very familiar with CZs. I'm starting to get trained up here.
Off the chat now.
No. So the question I had was, what's the difference between the Shadow and the Phantom? Because I'm very interested in getting a Shadow too, especially for my competition shooting. But like I said, I'm just pretty ignorant when it comes to CZ, and I want to learn from the masters.
Well,
17. I'll let you take this one if you want.
Well, I'm surprised. Thank you.
I know, right?
I am honored and humbled.
I'm being a nice guy.
So,
it's 2018.
You know, the Shadow, I won't speak too much on the Shadow because I don't own one. I haven't shot one. Although I am going to say this right now that Sandpaper Pistol Grips, you guys should check out his webpage, buy some grips from him. Great friggin' guy. I mean, honestly, one of the nicest gentlemen that I've met in YouTube in a long time. But he's actually sending me his Shadow to to shoot it. And it's, I got to say, first off, that it's going to take me forever just to be able to get the gun from New York State because they suck. But because he's willing to wait that amount of time just to give me the experience to shoot it, I can't say enough about this guy. So Sandpaper Pistol Grips, Ben, thanks, man. You're a great guy, gentleman. Totally appreciate everything that you do. And I can't wait to shoot that gun. Now with that, I would also say the Phantom, comparatively to the Shadow, the Phantom is sort of the polymer version of every CZ75 ever made. You know, they have the P09, which is obviously a more straight, kind of a 1911 style grip, whereas the Phantom is more of the classic CZ75. So in my opinion, the ergonomics are much better than on a P09. Lightweight, it weighs about the same as a Glock 17. You know, it has, I believe it's either 15 or 17 round mag capacity. I think it's 15. But unfortunately, I'm restricted to 10. Love it. You know, it's got the hook trigger. I mean, there's some issues that some people don't like the trigger isn't that great. Doesn't have the Omega system, so you can't transfer safety to decocker. But you know, ultimately for me, the reason why I got it was because it's just such a lightweight, full-size gun, and I like the ergonomics better on this than on the P09, which I had also. And it's just a tack driver, man. It just shoots really well, much better than I can shoot it. But I plan on taking it out again, just getting used to that heavy double action. And then the single action is sweet. It's about a 4-pound single action, about a 9 and change double action. But overall, it's a fantastic gun. Now the Shadow, it weighs about 42 pounds. It's a competition gun, and it's you know, it's double single action, safety only. But from what everybody has told me, this gun is like the dream gun, but I think it's a lot to do with the weight, obviously. Yeah. So, you know, these two other guys on the panel know more about that Shadow than I do.
Yeah. I mean, the Shadow 2 is totally a tack driver. There's no ifs or buts around that. Echoing, bud?
Yep. Got some echo, buddy.
Sorry. Yeah. The Shadow 2 is definitely, is that better?
Yeah.
Shadow 2 is definitely a tack driver. You know, it's weighted for competition. It does have a single light rail, so you can put a light on it or a laser grenade launcher, as KS says. You know, and 17's right. You know, it's the polymer. The Phantom is like the polymer version of the SP01. Myself, I'm not a big hook trigger guy. I can shoot them, but they're just not my preference. But yeah, the Shadow 2 is. It's just an incredible gun. You know, I can't say enough about it. It's it depends on what you're going to use it for, though, too.
Right.
You know, some people say, "Hey, it's going to be way too heavy to carry," and it's heavy. You know, it's about 2.5 pounds. It's over 2.5 pounds loaded. But you know, it just kind of depends on which you like. And I prefer the P09 over the Phantom, but that's just my preference. You know, everybody. That's the thing. You know, a lot of stores just don't have 50 CZs laying there where you can go and just put your hand on them or just walk in and shoot every one of them. So that's where you kind of have to get some experience. And, you know, other people's opinion might not be your opinion once you shoot it. So it's really hard to say which is the best one for you.
Right. And the one thing that, you know, should be mentioned also is the Shadow 2 is literally 3 times more expensive than the Phantom. So that's sort of why I went the route of the Phantom.
Yeah. But, you know, it's geared towards the competition group. You know, it's added extra weight, you know, to keep it down. I mean, it's designed for competition. However, competition 3-gun, you know, USPSA, whatever you want to use it for.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of that also comes down to just whatever experience you're going for, whether you compete or not. I mean, I don't compete anymore or do any of that stuff, but I've got a Shadow 2 now on my own Sandpaper Pistol Grips. You inspired me, so I ended up picking up my own, and it just it's a different shooting experience, and I've gotten to really enjoy all the CZs much because of these two other fellas here, as well as some of the guys out there, Pops Quest and some of the other guys as well. And there is such a following for CZ, and there's a good reason. I mean, the quality is incredible, but they shoot incredibly well. And I'm finding that the Phantom really is incredible. The P01, although I didn't like it at first, the new PO1 Omega, I'm really enjoying. But the Shadow 2, it's an incredible experience just to go to the range and shoot it, because it makes you feel good at the end of the day, because it shoots so well and it's so light. It's like shooting a 22. I mean, it really is. So it's a very interesting experience. I mean, come down to KC and shoot the Shadow, or I'll drive it up to you and let you keep it for a while. I mean, it really is worth it.
So, and that's one of the problems that I have at the moment, is because at least around here, there is no gun shops that has a CZ. We've got between, let's see, Academy Sports, Dick's, Flint Hills Gun Shop, and then Godfrey's in Junction City. All four of those places, none of them have a CZ. So I've yet to have one in my hands. So I've heard that from countless people that CZs are just the bee's knees. So,
well, we need to bring you over here and get you in CZ land. I mean, so I can see the CZ factory from my parents' living room, basically. I mean, it's just kind of right down the street. So their CZs are a little bit plentiful around here. The only one that I've only seen one of is the TSO, but everything else is pretty plentiful around here. So we need to get you hooked up.
Yeah, definitely. So and so not only does my sister live in Olathe in the Kansas City, that southern Kansas City area, but I'll be driving that way to get to MCI so I can fly to Vegas.
All right, sweet. So you guys heard it right here first. We're going to be doing a Cove video or two coming up at some point.
Yeah, and Mateo was saying he still prefers the Extreme Stock 3, the Tanfolio. And it's, the Tanfos are super great guns too. I like my Stock 2. So, if you're wanting something different than a CZ, you can always go to the steel Tanfolios too. So, and didn't you shoot my steel Tanfolio? KS?
No.
Oh, okay. But yeah, they're great guns too. So it just depends on what you want. Chris is asking the difference between the SPO1 Tactical and the SPO or the Phantom. And, I was telling him they're basically the same. One's just polymer. But Chris, the SPO1 Tactical is heavier. So it is a light, it shoots. I think it shoots a little better. I shot one of the old Phantoms, and it's a fine pistol. But with the extra weight, it's just going to absorb a little more recoil. That's the only difference.
Yeah, the slide is a little bit different too. The Phantom slide is more, I guess you could say, beveled.
Yep.
Very similar to an M&P 2.0.
Yep.
And that's how they shave off some of the weight there. So,
hey, Pops is asking a question. What would be the first CZ you would recommend to someone to buy? Very first one.
Yeah, that's a good question too. Boy.
Wouldn't you just start with the CZ01 and just work your way up from there?
You're going to numerically do it. So, man, that's a tough call, because I think it's also going to be based on use. Is it going to be your one and only gun? You can't go wrong with a P07 as a dual gun.
That's exactly what I would pick. If money's not an issue, go higher. But if you're just looking for out of the box great pistol, and say you want the smaller size, I'd say PO7. If you want the larger size, PO9. Or Phantom, if that's what you prefer. I just prefer the Omega trigger myself.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I just think for the money, you just cannot beat what that PO7 gives you for $400+. It's that good of a handgun, and for that price, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. And Honest Outlaw saying go right for the Phantom, or excuse me, right for the Shadow. Yep, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. If you could only buy one, and I have the TSO, I have the Shadow 2, and my go-to pistol is, not for carry, but is the Shadow 2. And I like the TSO, but and then for polymer, it's PO9 because I like the larger size, just with my hands. But I love the PO7 too.
If you have the budget, I mean, it truly, if you have the budget for it, I mean, Shadow 2 might be the way to go, unless you prefer something lighter and something a little bit more, because the Shadow 2 is not a very practical gun. I mean, let's be really honest. Obviously, that's range and competition, that sort of thing. There probably aren't very many people carrying a Shadow 2. You know, there might be a couple, but probably not very many. So if you're really wanting to get into the CZ scape, you know, you might want to think about something that's a little bit more of an all-arounder, perhaps. And it might be something like the PO7 or PO9 or Phantom or PO1 or something like that. I guess I say that loosely, but there are a lot of different choices. I'd say the P10. I'm going to dare to be different.
Yeah, it depends on if you're wanting striker fire, double action, single action, for sure. You know, I guess that person would just need to determine what they're looking for. I would say the first, if they're looking for a really nice first double action, single action, I would say PO7. I mean, because, you know, a lot of people will pull the trigger in the gun store and go, man, the double action's horrible. The more you shoot that pistol, it actually breaks in itself. The trigger gets smoother the more you shoot it. So don't worry about that.
You know, one of the things that I've been pondering this past week was, and this is going to sound crazy, I've been looking at the Glock 19X, and the more I look at it, the more it's saying to me, buy me.
No, don't do it.
Even Mark's telling me not to buy it. I can't help it, man. You know, and you know why? I would never pay what they're asking for, but I get the blue label. So I mean, for me, it's cheap. I mean, it's a cheap gun, you know, and I don't know. I've been looking at it. I'm like, you know, it's, you know, one day I'm like, oh, come on, really? And then the next day I'm like, but it is pretty. And then the next day after that, I'm like, but, and the next day I'm like, but it's a Glock, you know, and I don't know. I'm not going to buy it. It's tormenting me lately. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It is. But I want to get my hands on one of those damn caracols. So that's another place you need to go, Mark. You got to go check out that caracol booth and see what's going on. Caracol USA.
Now, I want to backtrack a little bit because Mark, you were kind of adamant about the Glock 19 and not doing it. So what's your take on the ultimate Glock?
The ultimate Glock would be the Glock 19X in reverse. So instead of having a Glock 19 slide with a Glock 17 frame, it's just the opposite. So it's the Glock 17 slide with a Glock 19 frame. So you have the ability, if you wanted to conceal carry. I mean, not everybody's going to conceal carry something that big, but that's what Glock people, in my opinion, are wanting. So,
especially for the carriers, the civilian carrier. I agree, you know, but it still definitely looks interesting every once in a while. But I think right now it's because I'm bored. There hasn't been some big announcement yet that is just, you know, kind of just made me say, wow, that's the next gun right there, you know.
Yeah, that caracol doesn't do anything for me.
No, I like it, man. I like that low bore axis. I mean, it looks like
if it works,
a smaller style.
Like if the trigger works. This is their second run on it, so we'll see.
Right.
Yeah, Bowling Curious is still on his grand power kick. However, we all saw the video where he took the Shadow 2 from Joey, who went to visit him, and he outshot his own grand power. So we all saw it, but he won't admit it. But I guarantee he's got a Shadow 2 on order, and he just won't admit it.
I know that Grand Power came out with that new compact striker fire that's based off their larger one, whatever that one's called. But the thing I can't get past is they put like this little, you know, where the safety goes or whatever. I don't even know what it is, but they put this like nub in there, and it just looks so out of place that I don't know. I mean, it's just not for me. And then some people are mentioning the IWI Masada. That looks like a pretty cool gun. You know, it reminds me a lot of the P10. I think it's a little bit bigger, maybe in the grip. I think it's supposed to be more like a carry gun. It's a long grip, short slide, you know, but it's fine. Whatever floats. All right, anybody got anything? You got a lot of radio silence here.
I know. Sorry, I was reading a couple things.
Yeah, we're reading questions.
Let's see. Okay. I was reading. Nolan put on here Ultimate Glock Gen 4, no finger grooves, front serrations, RMR option, threaded barrel option. That's pretty spot on. I'd be really close with that. I mean that very strange Glock release they did spring of last year, where they only did a limited run of it with those front serrations. I have no idea why they didn't carry that forward, but that would definitely be on my wish list right there. And having the MOS type option would definitely be pretty cool. The threaded barrel, I'm not as big on that. Doesn't bother me very much one way or the other, but that would be pretty close though. Otherwise, that's pretty spot on.
If you could see any changes in a gun, you can pick the manufacturer. What would it be?
What? Say that again.
If you could pick any changes for any gun manufacturer, just pick one. What would it be? Like you really want to see changes from them.
You got to give me a minute to think about that. I don't know about the other guys. I don't know.
For me, with Glock, it would have to be for them to produce across the board every single one of their pistols with metal sights and go away from their plastic polymer style sights, and then adapt their trigger to be just that much more better. They say that their Gen 5 and 19X trigger is supposed to be fabulous. I haven't shot one, but if they could step up the game, fix their sights, and just tweak their trigger just a little bit, I think they'd hit it out of the park.
Okay. You guys got anything yet?
You know, if it was one thing, maybe Walther, if they could just maybe shrink the slide height of the PPQ, that'd be it. I mean, they have a great gun, ergonomics are great, triggers great out of the box. It's just a little bit top heavy, but if they could just maybe shave that down a little bit,
okay,
it'd be awesome.
But you, KS? I'd like to see Glock come out with something other than a Glock. I think that would be it for me. I'd like for them to see. I'd like for them to do something a little different. Come out with a carbine. Come out with I don't know. Come out with something different. Because I'm a fan of Glock. I like them quite a bit. To have a long trusted relationship with them, and I'm tired of them. God, there's so many other good options out there, and so much else to be excited about. And we've talked about so many of them. But I'd love for them to kind of get their heads out of their asses and innovate again. That would be nice, I think.
Well, Mark and KS, if you want a really awesome Glock, probably the best Glock out of the box that even surpasses Glock, just go buy an FNS or a FN509 and you got it.
I mean, to a degree, you're right. That's true. Yeah. However, it's not quite.
I know. I'm just checking with you.
It's close.
I'm just messing with you. But you know, and I have nothing against Glock. I just think if they could come out with maybe have like the standard version, which they have now, and then maybe do like a version 2 where it does offer a 1911 style grip, maybe metal sights, front and rear serrations, just something to just say, you know what, we really jumped out there, not just make a little minute change. Keep the OG one because so many people love that. And they're used to it. And, like we've all joked and talked about, I grew up on 1911s, but some of the younger generation has grown up on Glocks. So that's what they're used to, or that's what they like. So it's, that way they could have double offerings and, it might really mix it up for them, so I don't know. Just an idea.
Well, until the market tells Glock they need to change, they won't. Because everybody buys it.
But here's the. I mean, you're right to a point. However, their market share is dwindling. It is getting smaller and smaller because more and more people are realizing the M&Ps are getting better and better. CZs are good. HKs are good. Sig Sauers are good. There's so many other options. And although there are definitely a lot of local gun stores, it's still basically when somebody walks in and says, "I want to see a gun," here's a Glock. I mean, obviously a lot of them do it, and a lot of them do it because their inventory dictates, because there are Glocks everywhere. But the choices are more plentiful, and the sales for Glock continue to get just a tiny bit smaller all the time. And eventually, I would think that Glock would notice. Maybe not. I mean, the civilian market is not their main.
That's not their cup of tea.
It's not. You're exactly right. Yeah. So perhaps they never will. I mean, TR had said put out a steel gun. Several people said put out an AR. I think Kevin was talking about just scrap the old design and do something completely different. Even if it falls on its face, I would love to see them try and do something a little bit different. You know. Try something different, even if it fails. Most gun manufacturers fail a time or two, but try something different.
All right, fellas. So we're in the last 5 minutes of the chat. So we'll do the round, and we'll have you guys kind of give us an outro. Anything you're working on, anything you're looking forward to, goals for 2018. I know that Baldy mentioned that question about shooting goals. So who would like to start out with their outro?
Let Mark go ahead.
All right, Mark, go ahead, buddy.
So goals for 2018, number one is to get to a NRA training course of some sort, you know, a NRA pistol course, so I can get certified as a trainer. That's something that I'm going to slowly start to do over the next year or 2 years, is get as many certifications as I possibly can to begin helping people train. Also, you know, improve my fitness, as I'm continuing to do as well, which is the other half of my channel. My biggest focus is to also get to not only SHOT Show this year, so hopefully next week I'll have that checked off, but also NRA show, and then back out to Georgia area to see Chad, Brandy, and Eric with Iraq Veteran 88's range day. So those are kind of my big priorities. And the next thing I've got is I got a build, upgrading my MP5 that I just launched, and then I have a set of pistols that I'm going to start compare and contrast. So yeah, that's it. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Nice.
Very good. Go ahead, Big J.
Okay. I've got a Sphinx video that completely woke up my Sphinx, so I've got that coming out. It'll probably drop tomorrow or Friday. Got other goodies I'm going to be doing videos on out of the box, and of course my main thing is you know, cutting that weight. Still doing it, and it's going well. So I'll update on that soon, and that's kind of what I have going on.
Okay, KS.
I've got the CZP01 Omega video coming out this weekend. The 6-hour X carry, P320 X carry is coming up as well. There are going to be some big Hudson updates. Had another phone conversation with Cy Hudson last night. Cool. So there'll be some updates and perhaps a revisit on that coming relatively soon. And beyond that, I don't know. Hopefully the 365 will be coming, but I understand that they're going to be putting out very small doses. They're going to put out one small dose, like 1,000 guns, right after SHOT Show, and then they're going to do another 1,000 guns in February, and then I don't know where it goes from there. So people who are wanting that gun, they're going to be in pretty limited supply, unfortunately. But that's 6 hour away. So that's the deal. Everybody, thank you for joining us as always. We appreciate it
very much. Yeah, thanks Mark for joining us also.
Pleasure. It's really, really a big pleasure for me to be here with you guys.
So to close the channel out tonight, or to close the chat, if I could speak English, that'd be great. Just a couple of things. I don't really have much going on. You know, I have some guns that are, I don't even know where they're at, because New York still has not mailed me out my stuff. So it's going on about 2 months now. Yeah. So at some point, you know, maybe there'll be something new, hopefully by tomorrow. I think the stuff I'm waiting for should be here by tomorrow, maybe. I mean, we'll see. I have an M&P 2.0 compact coming at some point. Couple of holsters that I want to do a review on after I've worn them for a little bit. You know, and that's really about it. Just, you know, try to grow the channel for 2018. I want to start working a little bit more on my grip, my shooting grip, just get a little bit more comfortable with certain firearms that I own. you know, I'd like to start doing some steel challenges. You know, Baldy, I know you're a New York guy, so if you know of anything around locally, I'd like to do something just to get out there and shoot more instead of static paper. It's getting a bit old. And just one last thing, it's kind of unrelated, but it is something for all of you to think about. Maybe you can help me out a little bit on this one as well. Earlier today, a family friend of ours actually wound up passing away. He was a young man. He died of a heart attack while he was snowblowing. And he's a good friend, good guy, great with my kids, man. Just unbelievable loss. So if you're religious, maybe you can say a prayer for him and his family. His name was Dean. I won't tell you his last name, but you know, it was a sudden and just stupid loss. I mean, it's friggin' snow. I don't know what else to say about it, but you know, just say a prayer for him and his family, because they're going to be going through some tough times right now. But other than that, Mark, thanks for joining us tonight, man. It was good to have you on. Great chat, fellas. Thanks for everybody who showed up. Again, if you haven't checked any of their channels out, there's a ton of good people out there. TR Prepper, just to name a few, Fu Master Chew, Hunts for Food, Pop's Quest, Insight, you name it, they're all up there. Honest Outlaw, all these guys, including Bald and Curious. So hope you guys have a great night. I'm not mentioning Johnny because that son of a bitch has 10,000 subscribers. So you're done, Johnny, out. But I hope you guys have a great night, and you know, stay safe out there, and thanks for joining us with the chat, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Carry on, guys.
Good night, guys.